All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a pretty significant proposal aimed at reshaping Australia's family law system. We're going to look at why a new white paper is arguing for a powerful new federal agency, all in the name of protecting the system's most vulnerable people. Okay, let's kick things off with this quote, because it really cuts to the core of the whole issue. It's a powerful statement from the proposal itself, and it frames the problem as a crisis of enforcement, where it argues kids are the ones who are paying the price. So that really sets up the big question we're tackling today. We're going to unpack this proposal for a brand new body designed to be the fix, something called the Family Court Investigative Service, or FCIS. Now, before we get to the solution, we really have to understand the problem it's trying to solve. The source material uses some pretty stark language here, arguing that the system is so bogged down that it's creating what it calls a new stolen generation by severing parent-child relationships. And the first problem it points to? Chronic overload. According to the proposal, we're talking about a single family court judge who is often trying to manage over 300 active cases at the same time. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's an absolutely massive caseload. And, that kind of overload has a huge knock-on effect. It leads directly to this next point. The proposal argues that these constant delays, sometimes stretching on for years, aren't just an inconvenience. They can cause real, irreversible harm to the relationship between a parent and a child. Right? So the proposal makes it clear that these delays and caseloads, they're just the tip of the iceberg. They're symptoms of a much deeper, more structural crisis that, it claims, past reforms just haven't been able to fix. So let's break down what the paper calls these systemic failures. You've got court orders that are reportedly just being ignored, allegations being used as weapons in a case, and a real lack of accountability for the professionals who have so much influence in the system. And this is really the crux of it, right? The proposal claims there's just no one there to enforce orders in real time. So what happens is families get stuck in this awful loop. They file an application, they wait for months, and often nothing changes. The noncompliance just continues. Okay, so that's the problem laid bare. Now, what's the proposed fix? Well, it's a big one, creating a whole new federal agency from the ground up. Let's dig into how it would actually work. They're calling it the Family Court Investigative Service, or FCIS. And the key thing to get here is that it's not meant to replace the courts. The idea is for it to act as their investigative and enforcement arm, giving them the backup and the resources they apparently don't have right now. And this is a really interesting way they framed it. The idea isn't to scrap the whole system and start over. The proposal's philosophy is that this new agency is the missing piece of the puzzle, the part needed to finally complete the system and make it work. Okay, so that's the big idea, but how would it actually work? What would this agency do day to day? Well, the proposal breaks it down into 5 key pillars. Well, it would basically have 5 main jobs. It's designed to investigate claims, to enforce court orders with actual authority, to regulate the experts involved in cases, to advocate directly for the children, and even to refer cases for prosecution when people lie or ignore the court. And look, the whole process is built around one thing: speed. After a case gets screened for risk, things are supposed to move fast. They're aiming to get investigative reports done within 21 business days. I mean, that's a world away from the months or even years people can be waiting now. So if this FCIS were to happen, the proposal claims it would be a total game changer. It paints this really clear before and after picture for basically everyone who interacts with the family law system. Take evidence, for example. Right now, so much is based on affidavits. Basically, each side telling their story in a sworn statement. The world with FCIS would see a shift away from that, toward evidence that's been independently investigated and fact-checked. And for the kids caught in the middle, well, the proposal argues this is a massive shift. It's about moving from a situation where they might feel unheard to one where they have a dedicated, trained advocate looking out for them, making sure their voice is heard every step of the way. And the idea is that this wouldn't just help families. It would have this ripple effect, right? For judges, it could help clear up those massive backlogs. For taxpayers, it could mean lower legal aid costs. And for police, it could finally give them clarity on what their role is supposed to be. Okay, but you might be thinking, hang on a second, don't we already have police and child protection agencies for this stuff? And that's a fair question. The proposal actually tackles this directly, arguing that the FCIS is designed to fill a very specific gap that no one else is covering, enforcing federal family court orders. So, with all this new power, what about the checks and balances? Well, the proposal outlines a whole bunch of safeguards to make sure the agency doesn't overstep. It wouldn't have the power to make final court decisions, its agents would wear body cams, and it would be subject to judicial review and independent oversight. So that brings us right back to the central idea. The proposal calls the FCIS the completion of the system. We've looked at the problem it identifies and the pretty detailed solution it offers. And the big question left on the table is this really the missing piece that the family law system in Australia has been looking for?
Proudly supported by Voice for Kids.